Okay, here we've got hazing, and it's about time I did a video on hazing because all it is male on male hostility. That's all it is. And it's a waste of men's time. And here's a couple losers talking about it. What's the name of this? Keeping it 100% official. A posturing name, of course. Conan on the real reason why Nathan Jones left the business. Okay, let's hear this.
All right.
That made me feel better.
I would concur with that. So who was the easiest person to rib? Who got ribbed a lot? We kind of ribbed it. You know what? There wasn't an easiest person.
Let me explain something. There is no way, if you're a snowflake, that you would have survived in a WCW locker room. Absolutely no way, because ribbing was the fucking, from the moment you walked into that fucking place, you were succumbing to, you had to look around, because that's how we entertained ourselves.
Look, let me tell you something. This is
Yeah, these guys are hostile to other guys. And so they're always on the attack. Wow. What an atmosphere to want to belong to.
This is a testimony to the wrestling business today as to the culture that we grew up in. This question that he asked right here, okay? Who had thick skin and who had thin skin? It's like, dude, nobody had thin skin. We were
all these guys have thin skin. They simply had to take it. They didn't take it because they were tough guys. They took it because they had no choice.
Tough enough to, like, like with Ribbon Show, it's like nobody had thin skin.
Because if you had thin skin, let me tell you what would happen. You would literally get driven out of the business. Eddie Guerrero once wrote this thing, which is very true. You met him, Disco. What was that Australian's name on Nathan? What was his name?
Jones.
Nathan Jones.
A real badass, super badass. Went to prison, beat motherfuckers up. Humongous,
7 feet tall.
Literally one of the strongest men in the world in the strongman competitions.
Yeah, right. One of the nicest guys you could ever meet. Right.
Very intelligent.
Oh, so he's one of the nicest guys. So he's a criminal, but he's a nice guy. And they drove him out.
Yes.
Right. They drove this guy nuts. They drove him nuts and drove him out of the business. And he ain't the only one. I've seen that happen a lot. If you don't.
Wow. See, if he's not the only one, how can you say that these guys are thin-skinned? From what I see a guy with greater self-respect. He just looked around at this and said, I got out of prison to put up with this horse shit. I got a better life to lead. That's what happened with this Nathan Jones guy. You know what? He probably could have taken these two losers talking. He could have taken them apart. But you know what? They would have just thrown him back in jail. That's what would have happened. That's why he was stuck. And these two guys talking, they had to take it. They didn't want to take it. They had to.
Don't have thin skin and you're a pussy, because that's the only word there is for it, you are not going to fucking be able to handle the wrestling business. You know what I'm saying?
No, you mean you're not a lay down like you guys are. You guys were scared. You knew you had to take it, so you bent over and took it.
Let's think about this.
Back then. Right now, it's not as bad.
That's kind of sad if you think about it.
Right.
Okay, because Nathan Jones was talented.
Super.
He was just kind of green, but he just needed to work. He's just talented. He had an incredible athlete, and smart.
Why is it sad? If this guy's such a thin-skinned weakling, then he deserved to go, right? According to you two guys.
Super talented.
Well-spoken, intelligent, have crazy conversations with this guy over.
Hell of a nice guy.
So this guy has everything going for him, and a bunch of selfish, jealous guys, hostile men, drove him out. That's what happened. A bunch of losers drove out talent.
Culture over there is big. Everybody's very polite and stuff in there.
Right.
So he comes in this culture, and it's like it's very difficult for somebody that's never been around that ever.
Right.
And so but here's a guy too, and this is sad. It's like this guy.
No one wants to live like that. No one wants to go to a hostile work environment. That's why they have it in businesses, in office businesses. They don't put up with that horse shit.
Went to prison for robbing bank. and got in like a shootout, with the cops and everything. Went to like he was bank robbed, right?
Right.
And he's a violent criminal. He got put in prison, Bro, did you?
So this guy has all the street cred. Did you guys do that? No, probably not. So he's already earned it. And so when he was put in that shitty atmosphere, he said to himself, I don't have to put up with this. I got better things to do with my life. Matter of fact, he was braver than you guys because he didn't take it. He just looked at that and said, I'm above all this shit. And you losers, you keeping it 100 official, you guys, you didn't have that kind of self-respect. So you just took it. You bent over.
Do you wonder if he always wondered if he was, maybe he quit the business because he thought that one day he would just snap and maybe do something to send him right back to jail? Because the guy's on probation, the guy's a previous offender, everything, you can't, you know what I'm saying? Do you think that's a possibility?
1,000%, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was prevented. He wasn't a weakling in any way or form. He just realized that he wasn't going to be in an atmosphere where he had to take it. Because he was in prison, he was forced to be there. If he could have just got up and left his cell, he would have.
1,000%, because they tested this guy really bad and for no other fucking reason to be jackasses. I was like, bro, he when I talked to him, I once had a conversation with him.
So they tested him just to be jackasses, right? So who wants to work with people like that? These losers. These are losers who do that. So no one wants to bother with that. That guy's not getting anything out of that.
He did something like 10 bank robberies, bro. It wasn't just one.
Right.
Yeah. And you got to have balls to do that.
And
what?
A 7-foot.
If this guy broke down and just broke one of these guys in two, they'd send him behind bars. Or maybe even the guys would gang up on him. Because this guy has been in prison and he knows the mental midget mentality that the average guy has.
320-pound jacked bank robber too, like not too hard to find,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then after that, he was like a powerlifting champion, like a strongman guy, and he was legit. You know what I'm saying? And they drove him and he wasn't the only one. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that that's how society was, because even when I was in the military.
So if he was so legit, how come they didn't respect him? Oh, you're in the military. Oh.
Bro, hazing was not, there's places now in I think hazing is officially illegal now in the military. You know what I'm saying?
Unbelievable?
Yes.
Not to me. You know why? Because the military has been struggling to get women in it. And once enough women join the military, they don't put up with it. They have the same self-respect as this guy. They don't put up with that. And guess what? Men are not hostile to women, so they don't want to haze them. So the hazing goes away. You see, hazing, keeping it 100 official is only for you subhumans. It's only for you losers. You low status guys. You're good enough to haze, not the girls.
It is unbelievable.
We're teaching these people how to handle stressful situations.
No, you're not. You're just abusing guys because you're hostile to them. And you have a pack mentality. There's nothing brave about singling out one guy in a pack while you're in a pack to protect yourselves. It's very cowardly, very weaselly.
Right.
And you literally can't put them under stressful situations enough to to get them ready for combat. That's unbelievable.
Hazing someone does not teach you how to avoid bullets or shoot a gun. It doesn't do anything. It's just an exercise in abuse because guys don't like other guys. That's it. It's completely unnecessary.
If you think that,
Right. And so, but anyway,
that's what I've always thought too. Because here's the thing too, is that in football.
Here's another thing. If you guys talk about the military, right? Well, if it's so important, how come they have hazing in college? is college. Are you being taught to fight combat in college? Like when you go and take like, I don't know, civil engineering, are you going to do like combat with your bare hands? Are you going to be captured by the enemy? Of course not. So this bullshit about the military toughening guys up is just that bullshit.
Remember when Richie Incognito had the thing for bullying?
Right.
But bro, let me tell you, this is what I always said.
The offensive tackle who I think
for the
was
Dolphins.
gay.
Was he gay?
Jonathan Martin. It wasn't gay, but he was just.
But he ended up going to San Francisco, right?
Right. His name was Jonathan Martin, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, why do you need hazing in sports for? If you just want to be good at sports, you practice the sport.
Yeah.
Bro, but like to me, I always looked at this like, you're talking about a combat sport, football, contact sport, but it is
So is hazing going to make your back stronger? When these poor guys get into football and have their spine broken, how did the hazing help them out? What God? It's such a superfluous, childish, hostile thing. Hostile little men enjoy hazing others.
combat because they're not trying to punch each other, but you are trying to hit the other guy really hard. You know what I'm saying? Which is basically a form of combat.
Well,
and
there's all the combat stress in it too, right? Like if you lose the football game, does the other team come and torture you like they do in the military? You see, this is bullshit.
It's like there's all these guidelines and everything. We're teaching growing kids up on things you can't do. It's like, bro, to me, like gloves are off when you're teaching guys how to do physical contact.
Right.
You gotta get in their heads because you don't want them to be weak-minded. Because if you're weak-minded, people will physically punish you. And stuff like that. So you have to keep people mentally strong, and the way you do that is expose them to stressful situations. You can't even call people names.
These stressful situations. They're just bullying. Period. Only punks do it.
And stuff and everything now,
Right.
and practices and stuff. And it's like, dude, you gotta toughen people up. You can't just.
It's already been demonstration by this college. This isn't about toughening guys up. You don't need to toughen a guy up to learn algebra. This is bullshit.
You'll take this away from because when they do face really stressful situations later in life, they're never going to have any clue how to handle it.
I'll give you an example. When I got into the military, right? Mm-hmm. So now you're getting all these guys that are, when you're a recruit, you're usually very.
Are you there still? Whatever your name is. I bet you aren't. I bet you got out of the military as soon as you can, as soon as you could, because that's what guys do. Guys always talk about it past tense. If it was something that you wanted to be in, an environment, you would still be there. Guys would make lifelong careers out of it. They never do. Well, I shouldn't say they never do. It's the rare guy who's usually an officer who does it permanently. Most guys do their stint and get the hell out because they don't want to be there.
Very, very young. Okay, so now you have guys that are immature, guys that are running away from the law. Like in my case, I was actually I was given a decision that I had to go to the military. You have all these guys that are running.
Okay, so you were forced to be there. You're not even a tough guy. You had wanted nothing to do with the military. You were forced to be there. So when you took the hazing, you had no choice. So you weren't thick-skinned. You were just a loser who got yourself stuck in the military.
Running away from shit. You have all these guys that you have to find out if they're tough enough. And like the company
if these guys are running away from shit, then they're automatically, they're not tough. They're trying to get away, right? So what's the point of putting them in the military if you know that they're not tough in the first place? It's to punish them. What it is, guys who get put in prison, they said, look, we can either take care of them, feed them, and have them do nothing, or we can feed them in the military and make them do work, often pointless work. It's just another punishment. And maybe they can kill other guys and maybe the rich can get richer. So of course they prefer prisoners to be prisoners of their own military than they do in an actual prison, an official prison, let's say.
Commander, he'll look around the room and he'll find out who the alpha male is. Okay.
How can you have an alpha male if all the guys are thick-skinned and all the guys are tough? That would be impossible, wouldn't it? Hey, I want to show you something. Officer and a Gentleman, Mayo versus Foley. Mayo is actually kicking Foley's ass. And as you can see him here, Foley's kicking him in the crotch. Why is he doing this dirty move? Gentlemen, why is he doing this dirty move? Because Foley is his drill sergeant, and sergeants can't afford to lose. Get it? They talk tough and say, who wants to take me down? They don't actually want to be taken down. They can't afford to be taken down. Like I said, Mayo was beating him, and Foley, if he got his ass beat, you think he was going to get up and say, well, Mayo, you kicked my ass and you're the better man, and here you are. Like, I respect you. No, this guy knows, Foley, that if he wants to command this guy, he's got to beat his ass no matter what. So he cheats. That's what the military is about too.
And that alpha male is the guy that, like, when you're marching up, 2, 3, 4, get in line, back to the flank left, and you've got this alpha male in the.
How can he be an alpha male if they're always being told what to do? Here's another thing. You guys like to talk about strong individuals. How can you be a strong individual when you all look the same, act the same, and dress the same? And you have some guy telling you when you can take a piss. You guys are the ultimate conformists, you hazing losers. You're the ultimate bend over and take it guys.
Company that everybody respects. It's almost like a human biological thing where you're respecting this male authority, and he was in charge of the whole fucking.
Another thing, if you soldiers are such tough guys, how come when the women say, hey, you guys do what I say, you put their high heels on? They made these soldiers wear high heels, and they made them because the soldiers said, oh, you want to humiliate me in public? Sure, why not? Why not? Because being a soldier is being a little conformist, and you'll take whatever they put out to you. And this is outside. These guys aren't hazing one another. You know, someone just said, hey, walk a mile in women's shoes. Women are your betters. That's why they were forced to wear these. And these good little tough boys did it. They took it. Hear that? Keeping it 100 official. Oh my God. There's no bigger bend over than a military man.
Barracks. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so they were always finding alpha males. And then after the alpha male, they had like 2 or 3 other guys. They were
finding all these alpha males that wore bright red high heel shoes.
They had a discipline, and their job basically was all dipshits, pussies, fucking weak-minded motherfuckers. They're getting weeded out of the fucking company because those guys were going to hold you.
Really? Well, you were forced to join. So how would you get weeded out? You weren't allowed to leave. So you were probably one of these thin-skinned guys you talk about, and all you could do was take it. And maybe go back to your barracks and put a blanket over your head and sob every evening. And say, well, I got to face another day.
You down in war or something like that. Right. And that's what they did. They bullied them, they hazed them, and they got them the fuck out of the thing. And I guarantee you can't do that no more.
Think about this too, and how this is seeping into society. What's going to happen when it gets into the military, where military guys are going to have to dress people by their requested pronouns?
Right.
You know.
Or wear high heels.
Bro, think about that. This is how far away we're going from what built the toughness of this country.
Right.
You know, except for
If you guys are so tough, why didn't these guys refuse to wear these high heels? Why didn't one of these where's this alpha guy who's standing there in his army boots? Because he's looked at the sergeant and said, no, I'm not wearing that. I'm not wearing that. You can't make me. Where are they? Military men. And this is why this guy, Nathan Jones, he showed real grit. He just looked at that and said, I don't have to put up with this horse shit.
things like we're literally going as like we literally can't even attempt to try to do things that have traditionally been known and proven to toughen people up and make them tougher.
No,
and make
it hasn't toughened them up at all. It hasn't toughened you up at all. It's made you know your place. It's humiliated you and shown you exactly what you are. Low status losers who know how to bend over and take it.
Make them mentally stronger. We can't do those things anymore.
Right.
They're literally
now you've actually got a weak military because of that. You know what I'm saying? Where guys are afraid. You know, you can't be afraid when you're going into war. You cannot be afraid. You know what I'm saying? You cannot be weak-minded. You cannot be thinking, I'm going to turn around and leave. I'm not going to save this guy if he's on the floor wounded. You know what I'm saying? You can't think like that.
And think about how they're teaching kids from like elementary school on now.
Boy, these guys are pathetic. Do you hear that? Keeping it 100 official, you're pathetic. And hazing, any man who puts up with that, let's face it, either has to or he is thin-skinned. He has no self-respect. I respect this guy if he dumped the WWF. He looked at that and said, no, I don't have to put up with this horse shit. I'm on my way. I've got a life to lead. I respect him. Thank you, everyone.